So yeah, education is something that takes a long time. Each of us have spent about 20 odd years in school and college, and that's when we come out being educated. Similarly, when we're picking fruits and vegetables, this is not formal education that we receive, it's what we see at home, it's what we see when we, accompany our parents to the grocery store, or when someone comes home with groceries, you see a certain thing, or when you travel somewhere and something is looking better than it's supposed to, it is always appreciated. कि, oh, टमाटर कितना लाल है, इतना बड़ा है, इतना juicy है. Like I remember when I had to go and pick fruits for the first time when I had gone to college and school, and when I was going grocery shopping, I was confused. How do I pick something? Especially when I'm cooking, like, how do you know you're cooking with the right thing? Because there is such less formal education. It is whatever you pick up here and there. So it has come down for years, and it is something that takes a long time. And it is also something that is very hard to measure the effect. Today, you and I can go have the same education. You can take something from it, he can take something from it, he can take something from it, and I will take a fourth perspective. So it's very hard to measure. How are you going about this process of educating customers? Because whatever the behaviors that you spoke about, the customers have been educated by people who have come offering these services. कोई आया, अरे देखो 10-minute timer delivery है, the stopwatch will start, the fellow will be at your place before the stopwatch ends. So you're like, oh, this is great. And then you get used to it, and then you start expecting it. So it's a behavior that is grown over time, and humans hate changing. So how are you going about this process of education? Because it's expensive, it is time consuming, and it is hard to measure. So what are you guys doing about it?
This is the way we have been trained, I would say. The education is something which gives you the ability to think logically and decide what is right and what is wrong. But yes, we have been trained this way by our society. We have been trained this way by a lot of other business players. We have been trained that thanda matlab Coca-Cola. We have not been trained that thanda matlab Sekanji. So our minds have been trained by society and by marketeers like this. Yes, it is a challenging thing. But if you look at worldwide trend, and if you look at a lot of research which has gone into, and coming from a professional background, coming from the education and the experience, we are not only following the passion or this thing, we are also deploying the business management tools and tactics to understand business dynamics better and crack it. So looking at a lot of research in US and also in India, there was a research by McKinsey in 2021 which said that 62% of the Indian wants to switch to healthier produce, and they're willing to pay little higher for the balance of quality and price. But yes, India is still a price sensitive market. So that is there. In terms of what is good, what is bad, we would remember that it's not the biggest and the best looking choles and rajma which taste better. There are smaller seeds of rajmas and chole which are desi and produced in Uttarakhand and parts of Punjab which is organic. That tastes much better. Desi rajma, desi dal, we used to say that. So that is what actually that consciousness needs to build. It's a long term.
I get it. I get that it is good for me. But the current licenses, the current stamps, they tell me it's okay. Like the health side of the government will tell me it's okay. You have named diabetes, I have khane mein zahar, I have, what else do I have?
Lifestyle diseases.
Lifestyle, cancer. Agar itna kuch hai, why is it legal? Why is it just not made illegal and be like, no, you can't do this? And why is, like, not just India, this is worldwide. Then why is that happening? What's your take? I want both your takes.
I think that would be a good thing. So, legal, ethical, and moral are three different domains.
Okay.
So, it would be legal. Even in some countries, even marijuana is legal. In some countries, it is not.
But marijuana doesn't affect your health.
Alcohol is legal. Tobacco is legal. And we all know alcohol, tobacco affects the health. So, legal, moral, and ethical are two different things.
Alcohol and tobacco is legal, but every time you see an alcohol bottle or a tobacco thing, it has that disgusting image of a lung made on it.
And
So
it
there
is
is a
mandatory
very,
to say.
it is very
It
clear
has come in
warning.
the last 10 years. Before that, it was not there.
Whenever
Because
it has come, but as long
before
as I have
that-
seen it,
Before
even-
that, cigarettes were being prescribed.
but
As
even
good
today
for
in
the
a
lungs.
movie, in a Bollywood movies, every time there is a glass of alcohol or a cigarette or something, and there's a warning that pops up. drinking and smoking is injurious to health. So it is legal, but it is not like, everyone is well aware कि ये करोगे तो risk है. खाने में कुछ मतलब warning नहीं है. People are prescribing कि ये करो.
What I'll add is cigarettes, alcohol are newer than food. Food has been going on for ages. 60s में आया, उसके बाद realize हुआ कि हमारे लिए बुरा है. But if you see from the 60s till now, the average lifespan of a human being has increased while consuming these vegetables, while consuming such meat, while consuming these pesticides, right? Where does both your conviction come from?
See, it is not about the average life of a customer, it is about the healthy life of a customer. Because if last 40 years of our age, if we are fully dependent on medication and having so many of chronic diseases, then that's not the quality life which we want. So that is there. So the conviction comes from there also. And two, yes, as we were discussing the earlier subject, legal is something which is driven by certain compulsions, certain commercial objectives, certain social objectives also. Because sometimes we had to grow the food grain production. While there is something which is moral, which is right, which is this thing, I don't say that people who consume food which is grown chemically or people who grow are doing any crime. No, they are not. Because there is a commercial compulsion of farmers also, that if they don't use fertilizer and pesticides, Mandi is going to give them 6 rupees kilo, 8 rupees kilo, 10 rupees kilo. Only going to just look at the look of the produce and weigh their produce. That's it. No matter what quality you have grown. And most of the consumer wants cheaper. So it's a conscious of a consumer, and obviously also the afford what they can afford, the willingness to afford. So that is why we also know the realities, and our target audience right now is the upper middle class and middle class who is willing to switch to healthier food alternatives and who are willing to pay little extra for this. Because current ecosystem has a higher cost. Once we are able to grow the ecosystem, the Jaivik farming is that scale, the cost will come probably lower than the chemical farming produce, but current ecosystem is that. So we are starting with that, and change has to start somewhere. Even if we are able to, I would say, affect 5% of the people of the country, it will be achievement. And if we are able to affect 5% improvement in the eating habit of the 50% of the country's population, it's a good achievement. It's delta is plus.
If you actually see the last 2 or 3 budgets, the government itself has been talking about moving back to natural farming. 2 years ago, if I'm not wrong, they spoke about having the entire Gangetic belt move into natural farming. Last year, they've again spoken about moving about 1 crore farmers, or was it 1 crore? I'm not too sure of the figure.
Yes.
But it's moving 1 crore farmers and helping them out move again back into natural farming. This is, I guess, back in 2020 or 2021. Sri Lanka all of a sudden moved into natural farming, and that's different, that the entire system collapsed in Sri Lanka. We've all heard about that.
They did it without a plan.
Yes, so slowly and steadily, our government itself is supporting natural farming. They want to move on.
In fact, I would add to this. This is an interesting thing. When we created our concept in 2020 and floated the concept, 2021 the budget came in, the agri budget and our concept. 70-80% of our concept was in the agri budget, and we didn't influence. It was a coincidence. So I actually circulated the copy of agri budget to entire my circle, and see, the government of India is taking a clue from my project and drafting their agri budget like that. And they talked of promoting natural farming across the Gangetic belt, because see, it not only affects the soil, it not only affects the food. Once the rains are there, the excess of chemicals which are there in the farmland gets washed away and goes into water bodies. It affects the water ecosystem, the quality of life in the water ecosystem, the fish quality, everything gets affected. And the drinking water quality also, because that same river water is taken up by the water bodies and then processed and then sent to our houses in the taps. So it is affecting the entire ecosystem. So governments are also talking. If you look at US, now 31% of the consumers are buying healthier food alternatives. India is still less than 10%, single digit. So that